When police finally got that door open, they found 6 people dead inside. And here's what stopped even the veteran officers cold. 5 of them died one way, but the 6th one of the children died completely different. So now the question ain't just what happened in that apartment. It's why one of those 4 kids didn't die like the others. Hold on to that, because by the end of this, that one detail changes everything. 6 people, 1 family, a grandmother, her daughter, and 4 children. The oldest just 13, the youngest 2 of them only 10. All of them found dead inside one small apartment in a quiet little town in upstate New York. No busted lock, no broken window. Nobody forced their way in. Police looked at that whole scene and said it plain. Wasn't nobody from the outside. Whatever took these 6 lives came from inside those 4 walls. And here's the part that sits heaviest. They'd been dead almost 2 weeks before anybody knew. 2 weeks. In a building full of people. So before we get into who and how, you gotta understand something about how 6 human beings can just disappear in plain sight. And not one soul comes looking. Let me walk you through it. And I want you to hold your opinion till the end. Because everybody who hears this case thinks they already know who did it. And every one of them is sure. But a week in, the police hadn't certified a cause of death for a single one of these 6 people. Not one. So sit with me. Let's do this piece by piece, and you decide.
It's a very sad scene here on Harris Avenue this afternoon. Neighbors are left absolutely shaken knowing something like this happened in an area that's typically quiet. One resident says in the 18 years she's lived here, she's never seen anything like this. Police, along with the sheriff's department. I reached out to the sheriff's department. They say they have no involvement in the incident. A neighbor last night told CBS 6 she asked police for a welfare check after not hearing from the family for 2 weeks and tell us children lived in the home. We spoke with another neighbor, Amanda Gary, who is heartbroken by the incident.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting. It's just having a little guy and knowing that there's 4 little babies that are no longer with us. It's very upsetting.
To understand what happened in that apartment, you got to go back about 6.5 years and around 2,000 miles to west. The children's father, a man named Brady Harmon, lived out in Salt Lake City, Utah. Him and the kid's mother, Sarah Myers, they got married back in 2015, split up in 2019, and the divorce was final by 2020. On paper, it looked normal. Joint custody. Sarah kept the kids through the school year. Their daddy was supposed to get them every summer, July through September. That's the paper. Now let me tell you the reality. According to Brady, he hadn't laid eyes on his own children in person since 2019. Not once. 6.5 years. A phone call here, a FaceTime there. And even those, he says, kept getting canceled at the last minute. The kids are sick. The kids can't talk right now, over and over and over. He says he spent years in courtrooms, thousands of dollars on lawyers. Everything the law would let him do, he says he did, and got nothing back but the knowledge that his 4 babies were growing up 2,000 miles away without him. But hold on, because there's another version of this exact same story, and the 2 of them do not fit together. Sarah told it completely different. Just a few months before all this, a friend set up a fundraiser for her online. And in it, Sarah wasn't the one keeping kids from anybody. She was described as a survivor of domestic violence, a mother being shut out. According to that account, it was Brady breaking the custody order. Brady keeping the children from her for weeks at a time. Brady, who even went and enrolled one of the kids in a school without her say-so. She was, that campaign said, working full-time and teaching herself the law at the public library, because she couldn't afford enough lawyer to fight back. So now look at what we got. 2 parents, 1 court order, and 2 completely opposite stories about who was the victim and who was the villain. Both of them can't be true. Only one of them is. And a week into this, ain't nobody untangled which. Make it make sense. Now here's what nobody argues about. Those 4 children were barely seen by the outside world. They weren't in any public school. They were homeschooled. And when police got asked later on who exactly was doing the teaching, they admitted they didn't even know. Sit with what that means for a second. No classroom, no teachers, no attendance office. Not one single person whose whole job was to notice if these kids just stopped showing up. 4 children, damn near invisible to every system built to keep an eye on a child. And right at the center of their little world was the grandmother, Amy Steadman, 64 years old. She lived right around the corner from Sarah and the kids in that same housing complex. And by everybody's account, she was close to them, woven all the way into their everyday lives. Neighbors remembered seeing her outside with those 4 grandkids, watching them play. One neighbor called them such a happy family and said he couldn't understand why anything bad would ever touch them. Now hold on to that word, close. Because the woman police would come to suspect of ending all 6 of these lives was the same woman who helped raise those children. So when I tell you this case don't sit right with people, that right there is a big piece of why. For years, that custody fight was a slow, grinding standstill. Nobody winning, nobody letting go. And then, in the spring of 2026, something finally moved. A new legal agreement came through. After 6.5 years, Brady Harmon got his summer, 60 days. The children were set to fly out to Utah on the 1st of July and stay till the start of September. For the first time since they were little, they'd be living with their father, meeting family they'd never met, seeing the country. And Brady, he was overjoyed. His sister had even drawn up a picture of the whole family together, the kids and all. And he was planning to line them up and take that same photo for real the second they landed. He was counting the days down. But now, flip it around. Put yourself inside that other apartment. A household that had spent years keeping these children close and keeping their daddy at arm's length. To Brady, July 1st was a finish line. To somebody on the other side of that fight, it might have looked like the exact opposite. Like losing them. Like the kids getting taken away and never coming back. We don't know everything that got said in them final weeks, but we know the timeline. And the timeline is quiet in a way that'll give you chills. Brady says the last time he talked to his kids was June 7th, on FaceTime. He was supposed to speak to him again on the 10th. That call got canceled. The reason he was given, the children were sick. He never spoke to them again. Something felt wrong to that man, even from 2,000 miles out. So he called the Mechanicville police himself and asked them to go check on his kids. Not one time, more than once. Officers rolled by, knocked. Nobody came to the door, and because there wasn't any emergency anybody could point at, that's where it stopped. Meanwhile, inside that complex, the days were just passing in total silence. No noise out back, no grandmother out in the courtyard, no kids on their bikes. Just an apartment nobody had heard a peep from in what neighbors would later guess was close to 2 weeks. And when the evidence finally came in, it pointed to something hard to even say out loud. That this family had likely died back in the first week of June, before the flies, before the smell, before a single person made one phone call. So think about what that means. While Brady Harmon was out in Utah counting down the days till July 1st, packing up a whole life for his children to walk into, they were already gone. It was the evening of June 23rd when the call finally came in. And here's the thing that tells you everything about how alone this family really was. The call didn't come from a relative. It came from a neighbor. Folks living around that complex had started noticing something. Days going by, and nobody from that apartment coming out. No grandmother in the courtyard, no kids running around. Some of them said it had been close to 2 weeks. Then people started seeing flies. flies gathering around the air conditioning unit, of all places. And then came the smell, the kind of smell that turns your stomach before your mind even lets you understand what it is. Somebody finally couldn't sit with it no more, and they picked up the phone and asked police to go check on Amy Steadman.
The smell of death. And then I noticed when I turned that the air conditioner in the windows was all full of flies, and I knew immediately, so I just called.
Officers rolled out to the John S. Moore housing complex over on Harris Avenue, apartment M5. They knocked. Nothing. No answer, no movement, no Amy. So they got building management to let him in. And when that door opened, there they were, 6 members of the same family. Gone. Now I want to be careful here, out of respect for these people. So I'll say it plain, and I'll say it once. The condition those bodies were in, police couldn't even identify them by looking. Let that sit. 6 human beings, and the only way to put names to their faces was to wait on the medical examiner. That's how long they'd been in there. One reporter who was on the scene said the chief himself described it as a house of horrors. Police locked that whole area down, shut Harris Avenue clean off, called in the New York State Police, their Major Crimes Unit, their Bureau of Criminal Investigation, their forensic people. This wasn't a small town case no more, and forensic teams got to work going through every single inch of that apartment, documenting everything before one thing could get moved or lost. By the next day, they had the names. Amy Steadman, 64, the grandmother, her daughter, Sarah Myers, 44, and Sarah's 4 children, Harper, 13, Hudson, 11, and the 10-year-old twins, Gavin and Gracelyn. But then came a detail that had a whole lot of people confused. Because Sarah and her 4 kids, they didn't even live in that apartment. They had their own place, a whole separate unit right around the corner in that same complex. So ask yourself the question investigators had to ask. What brought all 6 of them into that one apartment? Amy's apartment. Was it a dinner? A visit? Was it somebody just dropping by? Or was it something planned? Because everything about this, the closed door, no forced entry, no outside anybody, everything pointed to one truth. Whatever happened here, happened in that room. Nobody came in, nobody got out, and almost right away, police told the public something that told you a lot without saying much at all. They said there was no threat to the community, no danger to anybody out there. Now think about what that means. You don't tell a whole town you're safe unless you already believe the person responsible is not out walking around. You say that when you believe whoever did this was already inside that apartment.
Based on the evidence collected to date, including evidence recovered from inside the residence, investigators believe these deaths occurred entirely within the apartment and have found no evidence indicating the involvement of any outside individual. There remains no threat to the public.
For nearly 2 days, police kept it real close to the chest, barely said a word, and you can imagine the questions piling up. How do 6 people die in one apartment, and nobody hears nothing? Was it a break-in gone wrong? An accident? A murder-suicide? The town was spinning, and the police just kept working. Then came the press conference, and the chief, a man named William Rabbit, stood up in front of those cameras and started laying pieces on the table. Heavy ones. First piece. Inside that apartment, investigators found medications, prescription medications, and over-the-counter medications. And based on what they recovered, they believe they were looking at intentional poisoning. Not an accident. Not somebody taking sick. Intentional. Some reporting even pointed to syringes being found at that scene, though police themselves never confirmed that part out loud. But you put the medications together with all of it, and detectives believed most of that family had been poisoned, on purpose. And then the chief dropped the piece that changed the whole shape of this thing. One of the children, just one, did not die that way. One of those 4 kids suffered what police called fatal sharp force injuries. Now, they would not say which child. They would not say how it happened. They wouldn't say what room that baby was found in, or where it fell in the order of everything else. They said putting that out there could damage the investigation, but you can't unhear it. 5 of them poisoned, and one of those children, died by something sharp. And that is the detail I told you to hold on to at the very top. Because think about what it forces you to imagine. Why would one child die completely different from the rest? Did that child fight? Did that child resist? Did something go wrong with the plan, and somebody made a different, uglier decision in the moment? Was that baby still alive after everybody else was already gone? Right now, nobody outside that investigation knows, and the people who do know, they're not saying. But whatever the answer is, it holds the sequence of what happened in them final minutes, that one child's death might be the key to the entire timeline. So then the reporters asked the question everybody was thinking. Was it somebody from outside, some intruder? And the chief shut that down. He said investigators found no evidence anybody else came into that apartment. Nobody. Which meant the whole investigation turned inward, onto the 6 people who were already in that room. And then he named a name. The evidence, he said, pointed to the grandmother, Amy Steadman. He told those cameras that evidence recovered during the investigation, and here's his words, straight, no changing them, including a handwritten note and other circumstantial evidence, strongly suggest that Amy Steadman was involved in the deaths. A handwritten note. Now sit up, because this right here might be the most important piece of paper in this entire case. Police confirmed it exists, and that's damn near all they confirmed. They would not say who wrote it. They would not say who it was written to, and they would not read one single word of what's on it. Think about the weight that one note is carrying. Is it a confession? A goodbye? A message aimed at Brady? At the courts? At somebody nobody's even named yet? Is it an apology? Or is it something that raises even more questions than it answers? At this moment, the only people who know are the ones running this case, and they're sitting on it. Here's why that matters, and why you might never get to read it. If this turns out to be what they suspect, a murder-suicide, with the person responsible already dead, then there's no trial, nobody to put on the stand, nobody left to hold accountable. And in cases like that, especially with children involved, departments will keep a note like this sealed out of respect for the family, locked in an evidence file, maybe forever. So the one voice that could actually explain what happened inside that room is sitting in a bag, silent. But watch how careful the chief was, because this is the part that keeps this whole case wide open. He said the note strongly suggests Amy was involved. Involved. He did not say she acted alone, and when a reporter asked him point blank whether the mother, Sarah, was also a suspect, he did not clear her. He didn't say yes, but he damn sure didn't say no. He said until they certify the cause and manner of death, they can't speak on the involvement of all persons. All persons. And with that one careful little word, the chief left a door open that has not closed since. Because now, the question everybody's chewing on isn't just did the grandmother do this, it's did she do it alone? When the police called Brady Harmon in Utah, his whole world flipped in a single breath. He went from planning a summer with his kids to planning 4 funerals.
6.5 years to be able to get access for a summer, for 60 days, going through every legal way that I could go through. And then last I spoke with my kids on FaceTime was June 7th of this year. and I was supposed to speak with them on the 10th. And she stated they were sick. We talked on the 11th.
And the way he said it stays with you. I went from I'm seeing my kids to I'll never see my kids again. But Brady didn't just grieve. He pointed. In interview after interview, that father made it clear he does not believe the grandmother acted by herself. He believes both women were in on it. He looked at the fact that his kids were days from getting on a plane to him, and he said flat out, that's why they died. Because they were coming to him. And then he said the thing that told you exactly where his heart is now. He said he wants to bury his 4 children in Utah. His words, I want them as far away as possible from their mother. That's a father talking, a grieving one. But that's his opinion. And here's where you gotta slow all the way down, because there's a whole other side to Sarah Myers. And the people who loved her are begging you to hear it. Her own cousin spoke out, said Sarah was a wonderful person and a wonderful mother, that the family was heartbroken and didn't understand what happened, and that all this assuming and bashing was only making it worse. And she wasn't the only one. One of Sarah's exes, a man named John Bauman, stepped up and defended her too, said there was no way she had anything to do with it because those kids were her world, said she did everything for them. 2 people who actually knew Sarah, telling you she couldn't have. One man who fought her for years, telling you she did. So what? So now you gotta sit in that space where both things feel true and can't be. And even the paperwork left behind tells 2 different stories. There were 2 obituaries. Sarah's called her a devoted mother who loved her children and cared for them with the utmost devotion. But Amy's? The grandmother's? 2 cold little lines. Just that she passed away and that services were held privately. That's it. Make of that what you will, wah. But a lot of people made plenty of it. So let me bring this all the way back to the ground, because it's easy to lose the people in all the theories. 4 children, Harper, Hudson, Gavin, and Gracelyn, lived and died almost invisible. No school, no teachers, nobody outside that family, whose job it was to notice they were gone. And that's how 6 people stayed dead in a building full of neighbors for close to 2 weeks. And the only thing that raised the alarm was flies on an air conditioner and a smell in the hall. Not a system, not a check-in, a neighbor. Let that sit with you, because it should scare you a little.
Honestly, it's been about 2 weeks. A little over 2 weeks was the last time I've heard or seen any commotion going on out back over here.
And here's what we actually know for sure. 6 people dead in one apartment. No outside suspect. Evidence pointing to intentional poisoning for most of them. 1 child dead by something sharp. And to this day, they haven't said which one or why. A handwritten note that may never see the light of day. And a police chief who named the grandmother, but would not, could not clear the mother. Everything else is still a question mark. What was in that note? Who it was for? Why they were all in that one apartment? Whether Amy did this by herself or whether she had help. And underneath all of it, the one nobody can answer, wondering why. Why do this to 4 children at all? I told you at the start to hold your opinion, so now it's yours to hold. Because a woman who by every account helped raise those babies is the one police believe took them. And that's the thing about this case that just won't let go. Sometimes the danger to a child isn't a stranger at the door. Sometimes it's already inside the house, sitting at the same table called by a name that's supposed to mean safe. That's where this one sits. Open, unfinished, and waiting on answers that might never come.
Earlier today, the community came together at Talmadge Park to honor and remember them.
I know they're watching. I know the kids are here with us.
Friends and neighbors filled Talmadge Park to grieve 4 children taken far too soon.
If this story held you, and you want to be here when that note finally gets read, or when the toxicology comes back, or when we learn which child died, different, and why, then do me one favor. Subscribe and turn on that bell. Because this is exactly what we do here at Beyond Dark Cases. We take the forgotten ones, the recent ones, the cases that still don't sit right, and we sit with them until the truth comes out. Drop your theory in the comments. Did the grandmother act alone, or was she not the only one in that room with a reason? I'm reading them. Take care of the people close to you, and I'll see you on the next one.